Hi there, and welcome to our weekly craft, a source for ideas, inspiration, and fun for crafters. I'm Sarah White, Chief Maker at ourdailycraft.com, and today I just want to catch you up on some things that I have been working on, new things that are happening, sort of a show and tell kind of a situation this week. Lots of quick little hits on things going on in my life. So I hope you're up for that. I'm wearing my color belt sweater from my book Colorwork Knitting, which I think I've told you guys about before. I'll show you a little bit more of it. I love it. It's one of my favorite sweaters I've ever made, and it's in Noro Silk Garden, which Noro-san died a couple weeks ago, the original brainchild behind the colors and the amazingness that is Noro. So it's kind of nice to wear and remember him and have that connection to the amazing legacy of Noro, which is continued by his son. So it's going to stay and be wonderful, as it has been for many generations to come, I hope. But anyway, so this is, I was having trouble getting it like in the frame. My camera stand is not working very well today. But this is my achu that I've told you about a few times and shown to you. I originally started it, maybe like in February, I don't even remember. And I knit the top in a different, like a white with speckles of green and, not green, yellow and purple. I don't think there's any green, but in any case. And then I knit the bottom in this gray. And once I had knit the whole body, I realized that I had enough of it to make it a solid color. And that I didn't really like it with the different colored top. So I went ahead and knit the top again, and then I separated the bottom from the old top and grafted the pieces together. And you can see that there is a pretty clear line here where that happened. I tried blocking it, but this is a cotton acrylic yarn, so blocking didn't really help it that much. But I haven't woven in the end yet from where I grafted it, so I think that I can just go in and individually adjust the tension of the stitches on those couple of rows and make it a little less prominent. And it's not totally, I mean, you can see it, that there's something going on there, but it might just be like, you know, some loose stitches or whatever, and or where the yarn is uneven, maybe even. It's hard to say, you know, what you would if you saw this sweater on the street, what you would say happens there. But I think that I can make it look a little bit nicer than that. And I had started one of the sleeves, and I think I'm going to just go ahead and knit from the sleeve and not try to graft the sleeve as well, just because it's a lot of work. I mean, obviously it's less time than knitting the whole bottom of the sweater again, or even knitting half a sleeve again, but I feel like the smoothness and the just having the sleeves match, because there's two of them, like if I graft on one and it ends up a little funky like that, I don't want to have one that looks like that and one that looks normal. And it's not that much. I know sleeves like get a bad rap for taking forever and being terrible, but it's not really that much. It was like, you know, 6 inches or something, so not a huge deal to redo. So that is on the plate soon. Speaking of things I'm knitting, I also wanted to show you, because I was talking about it last week, this sock, because I need to do the other sock. But this yarn in the middle was like Knit Picks Bear, I think, and I hand dyed it with leftovers of tie-dye yarn, tie-dye fabric dye. For my daughter's birthday party last year, they did a tie-dye party, and all the dye that was left I used on yarn. And so I tried to do like rainbow colors, but then because I was just, you know, doing it kind of randomly, there wasn't a sequence of colors that was really happening. As you can see from the foot, it's just random little tiny bits of color. So to break it up more, I went ahead and did a textured stitch on the foot and the leg, and then just a stockinette on the bottom. And I wasn't sure that I was going to have enough yarn again. That's like the story of my life, right? I think everything takes more yarn than it does. So I did a toe up, and I did the contrasting toe and heel to make the yarn go farther, and then I ended up using less than half of the yarn to get to the length that I wanted anyway. So it probably would have been fine to do a solid but I kind of like the pink, and it got to use another little, I think this is Socks That Rock. I can't remember for sure though. Anyway, so I am hoping, I need to take pictures of that because it's a toe up. I was going to do a tutorial, and I need to take pictures when I start the other sock, and so I haven't been like mentally prepared to do that. So hopefully I can get started on that one this weekend too, and have a new pair of socks and a new blog post related to those socks really soon. Speaking of socks, I also wanted to show you these little stockings that I made. They might fit a human foot. I'm not really sure. That was not the point. I didn't bring one to illustrate, but the idea is that they're stockings and they fit a gift card. And so you can just knit a little stocking, put a gift card. You could put, other little presents in them. They could be used, like you put your utensils in them for your holiday dinner. But the real thing that they're for is to learn to knit a sock. So that's where this one is multicolored the way it is, because it's showing the different parts of the sock, from the cuff to the leg, and the heel, flap and turn, and then the foot and the toe. This is a learning project that is part of the upcoming Rebecca Page Holiday Crafts Summit. It is actually a exclusive to the people who pay for the summit. Normally it's a free summit, and you can watch as many of the videos as you want during the videos are all live for 24 hours, and so you can watch as many as you want for each day of the summit. But if you want to keep the videos and the patterns and things, they have a VIP pass that you pay for, and it includes exclusive content, which is, I think there are 3 or 4 classes that are for VIPs only, and this one of mine that is Learn to Knit a Sock stocking gift card utensil thing is one of the VIP classes for this summit. So I'll put a link in the show notes if you are interested in that. If you want to learn to knit a sock, this is an easy way to do it because it's worsted weight. I go through showing how to do it on double pointed needles, on 2 circular needles, and using magic loop. So any of this popular sock methods that you are comfortable with, if you've already knit things in the round and know which way that feels comfortable to you. It's mostly shown on double pointed needles, but I show how to do it on other kinds of needles if that's a thing you're interested in. It's worked from the top down, and because it's worsted weight and small size, there's very few stitches, so the heel turn is over almost before you know it, if that's intimidating to you. And it just goes through step by step all of the pieces and all of the techniques that you need to know. And if you've never done circular knitting, I talk about different ways to join in the round, how to change colors, all that good stuff. So it's a really great, if I do say so myself, and I do, it's a really great learning experience. If you've never knit a sock, if you've never knit in the round, it does assume that you know how to knit, but other than that, you can come in without a lot of skills and come out with adorable little stockings that I'm sure that you'll come up with lots of uses for, aside from the couple that I mentioned. And we also talk about how to do the duplicate stitch on the side and other embellishments that you can add. So it's like a really good jumping off point to get you started, get you confident knitting socks, and get a jump on your holiday knitting, crafting, because there's all sorts of classes. There's sewing, knitting, crochet, cross stitch, all paper crafts, all kinds of crafts that you might want to do within the summit to get your holiday knitting, holiday crafting off to a great start. And I believe, I do not actually know when the summit is. I want to say it's in a couple weeks, but I cannot remember. So I will put that in the show notes as well, along with the link where you can sign up. And if you want to do the stocking class, you can do a VIP membership to the summit, and it'll get you hooked up. Finally, in my show and tell is I have a new book out. I think I talked about this a little bit when I was writing it, and I've talked about it in the context of the next book that, I have a publisher who has right of first refusal on my next book, and I've actually changed the idea that I want to present to them. I still want to do the whimsy book, but it might not be the book for this particular publisher. But in any case, Drawing Fantasy Chibi is out. Aren't they cute? So this is kind of an interesting story. Because I don't really draw that much. My daughter is the artist, the drawing person in the family, and she's great. But this publisher was looking for someone to write the instructions for this book. They had the drawings all done. They are by Tessa Creative Art. She's an artist from Canada who does a lot of cool custom like emoji, or not emojis, logos and fun stuff for, portraits for people in sort of a chibi style. Her stuff is really cute, and she had done the illustrations and the instructions for this book, but they didn't have the words for the instructions. So because I can write tutorials about just about anything, I offered my services to do the instructions for this book and was selected among people who applied. It was almost like a job. Like it was on a writing group that I'm a part of, and they selected me to do it. And so I had like a month, and they sent me the step-by-step drawings, and I wrote the instructions for it. And it was a really cool process. It was completely different from, all my previous books have been knitting related, and that's like such a long process from, the concepts and coming up with all the designs that you want to do to the actual knitting, writing the patterns, doing the grading, the editing of the patterns themselves, and then putting it together into a book and actually editing the book and doing all the photography and the production and all of that. It's like a lot, and it's a really long process. And this, I know that the process of the book was longer than the month that I was involved in it, but it was a pretty quick, I wrote the text in March, maybe, I want to say. It was the spring, and the book came out in September. So that's kind of fun too, to have the fast process books, and that's sort of what I'm aiming to pitch them, hopefully by the end of October. Since I was working on something else now, I've got another month, right, for this new. It's not a new idea, but it's a different one than what I was originally thinking about sending them, because this is a publisher that does sort of quick hit books. I wanted to come up with something that was a little both faster to write, because I worry that their terms are that you have to write them pretty fast, but that would still be useful and fun for people. It's a sort of a crafting prompts, creative, get your juices flowing kind of a book, that would also be fun to write, and it's been in my mind for years to write, but might be a little easier for me than the like big whimsy project that I was thinking about. And that, I just feel like that one's going to take longer to write and to really get into. And I want to give it the space that it deserves and not rush through it just because I'm trying to offer something to this publisher while they still remember who I am, right? So we will see how that goes. But anyway, Drawing Fantasy Chibi is available on Amazon, and I will put the link in the show notes also. I'm sure you could get it from an indie bookseller if you are inclined to do so. It's from Ulysses Press. Specifically, Bloom Books is an imprint of Ulysses Press that's for young readers. And because this is sort of it's aimed at tweens who might be into fantasy chibi, my daughter was great help with consulting both on drawing things and on the mythical creatures that are included, because she's very into myths and legends and fantasy stuff. And so it was really fun to sort of collaborate with her a little bit on this book as well. So it was just a really great experience, and I hope that if you or a kid in your life is into drawing fantasy chibi or chibi creatures in general, that you will check this one out because it's really cute. And they're simple drawings and adorableness. Look at that little yeti. And yeah, it was just fun and completely different from anything I've ever done. So that was really cool. So that's my show and tell for this week. I don't really have anything because I just finished watching League of Their Own and it was great. I really loved it. I'm still a little surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I'm not into sports really. But it's just really good storytelling and the characters are interesting and the storylines are way more complex than than the movie was. And I'm excited to see that there's going to be a season 2, so that'll be fun sometime in the future. I just finished reading The Grace Year. I cannot remember the author's name. This is the problem with reading ebooks. You don't always see the author's name. It is, I believe, supposed to be young adult. It's about a insular community where the girls are said to possess magic that comes on when they have their period. And so their 16th year they spend sequestered from the community in this encampment basically that's behind these high walls because there are poachers out in the woods who harvest the girls to take their magic, and their body parts are used to make magic cures for various ailments and things. And it's really dark, disturbing. It's sort of Lord of the Flies meets The Crucible in a sort of Handmaid's Tale-esque dystopian misogynistic society. The women have no agency at all. From the men choose who they want to marry. The women have no say. It's like they have a day, the veiling day, when the boys and men who have gotten rid of their wives through accusing them of witchcraft and whatnot, select the girls, and then they go off on their grace year when they're 16, and then they come back and are married the same day. And so there's a lot going on in there. It was interesting and dark, and I don't know if now's the time to be reading stuff like that, if now's the time to not be reading stuff like that. And I just started a memoir by Michael K. Williams, who was Omar on The Wire, who just died this year. Is that earlier this year? End of last year? I don't remember now. And it's very sad to read because you can feel the hope that he was beyond his drug problems and that his life had turned this corner, and that he was safe. And while he acknowledged that, you're never really free of it, it felt like it was written in a hopeful frame of mind, and that he was not able to escape that is really sad. It was already sad, but what I mean, that reading that, the hope and the, that he was really determined to give something back to his community and to the world beyond his acting, and that he was not entirely able to do that is heartbreaking. And I just loved him as an actor. So I just started it last night, so I'm not very far in, but that will be an interesting read for the weekend. And yeah, I did want to mention that I'm late posting this week because I had my COVID booster on Wednesday and it totally knocked me out yesterday, and I'm feeling better today, and yay science and yay immune response, and all of that's great. So if you are, on the fence or haven't gotten yours yet, I encourage you to do so because, yeah, it feels in a lot of the world like it's over, and I don't think it's over, and I think that anything that we can do to help protect ourselves and our loved ones is a great idea. So I encourage you to check it out and get your shot if you haven't yet, and flu shots, of course. Just, everything we can do to stay healthy and safe and protect each other is a good thing. So this weekend I'm knitting sleeves and a sock, hopefully. I mean, not all of sleeves and a sock, but starting on those things. Um, I hope that you've got something great crafty planned this weekend as well, and I hope that you have a great week, and that if you've got something great going on, since I did my show and tell, I'd love to hear about what you've been working on. If you've released something new into the world, I'd love to hear about that too. And I hope that you have a great crafty week, and I will see you again soon.